Welcome to another episode of the Rugged Homestead. Today, we're going to be making creamy, delicious, probiotic-filled yogurt. I was surprised at how easy it is to make your own homemade yogurt. All you need is a gallon of milk and a few other simple ingredients, and you can be on your way to having a healthy snack. What really surprised me is how good it is plain. Although I eat it with fruit and sweeten it with some honey, it actually tastes pretty good plain, all by itself. And that's something I can't say for store-bought yogurts. Now this is going to be a three-part series. The first part is to make yogurt. And then in the second part of the series, this is going to be a three-part video series actually. This video is going to be how to make yogurt. But from the yogurt, you can actually make cream cheese. And that'll be the second video in this series. And then from the cream cheese, you can actually make ricotta cheese. And that'll be the third and final video in this series. So let's go ahead and get started. All you need is a gallon of milk, as I said. I'm going to be using a half gallon today. And a yogurt starter. Now this is one that I've made from a prior batch of yogurt. But what I'll be doing today is I'll actually be using store-bought yogurt to get the process started. And then every time you make a batch after that, you just save a little bit off to the side. And then that's what you use to start your next batch of yogurt with. And then it just keeps going. It's almost like a sourdough starter. Once you make up that first bit, then you can just keep using the same starter over and over and over again. And that's basically how it works with the yogurt, because you have active cultures in there. And that's why I use the store-bought yogurt to begin with. I found one that had the active cultures in it, and you want to get ones that have like 5 or 6 different cultures. The Chobani that I'm using today has 5 different ones. The very first time I made yogurt, it had 6. It was actually the store brand one, and that's where this one actually comes from. This is about the 4th or 5th batch down the line from that original yogurt. So this is all you need to get started, and then also some powdered milk. Now the powdered milk isn't really necessary, but I think it makes it a thicker yogurt, and it may be what also makes the final product a lot tastier than the store-bought ones when it's plain. Now I have no proof of that or basis for that opinion, but as I said, this yogurt tastes really good plain, so I think it might be the powdered milk that I add to it. So let's get started. We begin by pouring in the milk into our crock pot. As I said, I'm using a half gallon of milk. So we put it in, and then we keep the heat at a medium heat because we don't want the milk to burn. And then just stir the milk regularly, because you don't want to get that film develop on top or anything like that, and you don't want it to burn on the bottom. So just regularly stir it, and it's going to take about 20 minutes to come up to temperature. And then what we're going to do is we want to heat the milk to 200 degrees, and that'll kill any bacteria in there. We don't want the bacteria that's in the milk to be there. We want to put our own active cultures in there. So we want to kill off the any living organisms, and raising the temperature to 200 degrees will do that. Now when it hits around 180 degrees, that's when I usually start filling up my sink with cold water, because we want to rapidly cool down the hot milk. We want to go from 200 degrees to 110 degrees. And that's the temperature then that we'll be able to add our yogurt cultures into it without killing them.
because if we put it in when they're 200 degrees, it would kill the cultures that are in there. So we don't want to do that. So right now we're at 200 degrees. So I'm going to take this pan and I'm going to place it in the sink, and it'll take about 5 or 10 minutes or so to put it in to get down to temperature. What I'm doing here is I'm just filling the sink with more cold water, just so that the level of the water in the sink is the same or slightly higher than the level of the milk, and just to make sure it all cools down quick enough. So stirring the milk helps cool it down because it mixes up the hotter liquid with the cooler liquid. So doing that regularly just helps it cool down faster. Like I said, it's going to take like 5 or 10 minutes. And then once you do reach temperature, you want to move kind of quickly because you don't want it to cool off too much. So once you hit the 110 degrees, you want to take out a cup, and here we're at 109, that's close enough. So you want to take out about a cup's worth of yogurt, and to that we're going to add our powdered milk and our yogurt. Now I have to apologize, my camera cut out, but I used about a third of a cup of powdered milk, and I put the whole container of yogurt into it, and then you mix it really good so it's really mixed up. And now you pour it into the cooled down milk and stir it in real good so it's fully incorporated into the milk. And then just put a lid on it. Now don't throw away your milk container that you had because it's going to come in handy. What I'm doing here is I'm filling it with very hot water. My tap water is about 120 degrees, and usually the hot tap water comes out to 110 or so, which is perfect because what you're going to want to do is you want to keep this yogurt mixture now at that temperature for a good 8 to 12 hours or more. That way it allows the cultures to do their job and turn the milk into yogurt. To do that, we're going to put this water and the yogurt mixture into a cooler. Now I'm going to be using a styrofoam cooler. It's like one of those Omaha steak coolers. But if you got like a regular Coleman cooler or something like that, I didn't want to dig mine out. This is what I had readily available. You take the water and you put the water into the cooler. Next, you're going to take a regular blanket and you're going to drape it into the cooler and make sure that it's on the bottom of the cooler, because what you're going to do is you're going to set the pot on top of the cooler, on top of the blanket, and then you're going to wrap it up in that blanket and then cover it all up. By doing that, you're insulating the yogurt cultures and keeping them at a nice warm temperature, and they'll be able to turn the liquid then into a yogurt. So we're just going to close it up and we're going to leave it overnight. Right now it's about 3 o'clock, and you could do it 11 o'clock that night, and about, it's at 8 to 12 hours you want to leave it. I'm doing it the next morning, and so I'm just going to come over and remove the pot from the cooler, taking the water out of the cooler, of course, and it's still actually kind of warm. Everything's really warm in there. The coolers really do a good job of holding the temperature and keeping it at a constant temperature. So as you can see, the yogurt has set up now, and it's a nice thick yogurt. That liquid you see there towards the bottom, that's the whey. That's very healthy, and you can use that in other recipes. And then you're just going to take it and you're going to put it into the refrigerator for a couple hours and let it cool down, and then it'll be ready to eat. What I'm going to do now is actually can it, well not can it, actually just store it into jars. I'm going to put it a few into a couple of jars because I'm also going to be making cream cheese after this. So I'll only be using storing about half of the yogurt here to eat, and the rest I'll be using for the next video to uh, show how to make cream cheese. I've also set aside a little bit to eat now, and what I'm adding to it is a little blackberry jam. This is some jam that I made from my blackberry bushes, and I sweeten it up with a little bit of honey and mix it all together, and it's a fabulous treat, and it's really, really, really tasty and very simple to make, and this is a regular snack that I now have during the day. And again, it's filled with probiotics, so it's very healthy and very cost effective to make too.
And that's all there is to it. Today, I just made 2 pints because, as I mentioned, this is going to be a 3-part series, but it's as simple as that. All right, so if you like what you see, give the video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel if you'd already do so, and hit that alarm bell, and that way you'll be notified right away when videos like this are posted. Okay, thanks for watching.